Hello, my podcast people, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of my favorite online business podcast. If you are tuning in, listening, watching on the day that it drops, it is Monday, December 22nd. Happy holiday time, whatever you may or may not celebrate. So today we are talking about building your dream offer. And this episode is heavily inspired by my recent trip to Playa del Carmen. Y'all, that shit was dope. Actually, speaking of dope, check out this sweatshirt that I have on. Yeah, I always wear my stuff, my Maestro stuff when I'm recording, but this is not a Maestro stuff. This is from my girl, Rachel. And this was like a pseudo custom one. I fucking love it. Isn't it cool? It's really cool. So I'm wearing it. I might regret it because it's a sweatshirt. If you can't see me, you don't know. It's a sweatshirt. I cut the sleeves off. It took me a very long time, actually. But it's going to be a little bit hot. But either way, I was like, you know what? I want to rock this because it's dope. I have a Maestro shirt underneath, and I got the Maestro M behind me, and I'm like, you know what? That's enough. But this episode, inspired by a super dope trip I just came back from yesterday to Playa del Carmen. This shit was the shit. Right? The spot was the shit. I am recording this on Wednesday, December 17th. I just got back yesterday. We were there for 5 days. We went Thursday to Tuesday. This is a trip that we take every year. Lex and I take every year with another couple, Dan and Natalie, who I met during my Paragon training methods days. I fucking love them. They were just like the best. So we used to do Vegas, but it's too fucking cold there and it's expensive, like unnecessarily expensive. So we decided, hey, let's spend a little bit more money, but get a lot more and it'll be really warm. So last year we did Cabo, which was great. It was really good, but we got bamboozled during the post-stay pitch. I've mentioned this on this podcast. Went to LeBlanc. Don't fucking go there. It was good. Very nice. No diversity, but very nice, really good food. But then we bought the end pitch thing to lock in a rate for the next year, and then it didn't lock it in. They lied. I had to do a whole chargeback. It was a whole thing. So it also had zero nightlife, right? Zero diversity, zero nightlife. So we switched it up. Lex and Natalie, or combined, next, they did an amazing job finding a new place. So they wanted to be searching. So I was like, all right, cool. And the criteria that we kind of had was it's got to be an all-inclusive, adults only, because fuck them kids, nightlife at the resort, enough chairs and umbrellas. It's annoying. You got to fucking go out there early trying to fight for chair and umbrella. And why doesn't everything have an umbrella? It's fucking hot. You're on the equator. So need to have that. I really wanted a secret door for room service deliveries. I've had this in past places I've gone to because we don't have to deal with it. They just try to come into the room all the time and it's just annoying. I'm I don't need you to wait on me hand and foot. I just wanted a coffee. I would love a nice bathtub, right? And I'm going to tie all this into the main topic of today. I know I'm giving you the rundown of the trip, but it ties into the main topic of today, which is building your dream offer. So the place that had checked all the boxes was Playa del Carmen. We went to Secrets Moche. It's spelled Moxche, and the E has an accent on it. And we stayed at the impression side of the resort. 15 out of 10 recommend this place. I'd absolutely recommend this place. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw my stories. This place was bomb. We had an amazing time. Probably the most important thing in terms of immediate feedback and immediate yes is the diversity of the place. There were lots of Black people at this place and a good number of gay people. That's all I need to know. Actually, they have a lot of weddings. I think all these places make a lot of their money through weddings. And they always have that wedding, I don't know, the wedding office where you would go and talk about stuff. I don't fucking know. But they have pictures in there of people who have gotten married there. And they had a lesbian couple. I hate that word, lesbian. It sounds like a disease. But they had a lesbian couple as one of the pictures. And I was like, look at that. Diversity. And that's just that welcome environment. And I was immediately yes, because LeBlanc was not that. It wasn't not welcoming, but it was honestly a lot of old white people. Pretty much only old white people. And I was like, this is fine, but also not really it. So right off the bat, amazing. At that hotel, they have 3 tiers regarding the kind of access and the amenities. We stayed at the highest tier, like I said, which is impressions, which gave us access to 2 impression-only pool areas, a specific beach area, and 2 different restaurants. They also had premium alcohol at that level. I didn't even realize this. I drink the same thing all the time, and I didn't really realize this until the last day because we had introduced to a drink called the Hugo Spritz, which uses Saint Germain. And they only had that at the impression side. So we went to the other bars all around and in the resort and trying to get this drink, and they're like, we don't have Saint Germain. And I was like, how the fuck they have it over there? Like, what's happening? And then on like the second to last night, our favorite bartender, Gabrielle, he was like, oh, your impressions, they only have that there. And I was like, oh. And it makes sense because the bourbon was different too. And I was like, I didn't really notice. I'm not like a huge, drinker. But that you do have access to that if you are staying in the impressions side. Impressions also comes with a butler, which we had at LeBlanc, but here at Secrets, they weren't up your ass, which that was a requirement that I had when looking for a place. I was like, I don't need a butler. I want that secret door that I spoke about earlier because, a lot of these places seem to cater to folks who want slaves. I'm just going to fucking say it. They want slaves and they judge the quality of their stay by how much they can be waited on by somebody else. And it's fucking tacky and I don't like it. I will tip you. Just like, I don't need you to do all this stuff. Like, I'm fine. So one of the things that we wanted, that secret door, I've had it in past resorts that I've gone to. And it's just a door that like room service puts the food in and it just like, it's like a shelf, like a table. It's kind of like a dumbwaiter that doesn't move. And you just open it from your side and you just like get the food whenever you want. When you're done, you put the tray there and they just grab it. And it's the fucking best, right? LeBlanc was insane. It's like they were really like, that was like the selling point of LeBlanc was like, you have the butler and they bring all this stuff. And I was like, I don't fucking need that. This place, not like that. Of note, the room service was very slow, but we didn't really use it. But the few times that they did use it, like brought coffee, water, bath salts. I like taking a bath. They just put it in that little door area. It was great. Regarding the bathtub situation, this place had 2 huge bathtubs. Huge. And one was on the balcony. And I use it every day. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw my stories. I use it every fucking day. I love it. As for the nightlife, so cool. They had a speakeasy that to get to it, you go through the back of the pharmacy, which does sell stuff. But you had to give them a secret password that they changed every day. And then they like open the door and it's like a full-on club. Like good music, super fun. It didn't start till 10:30. Difficulty for me because it's on Eastern time. And so I was like, man, it's like feeling like it's early, right? Because it's like 7:30, but then you're like eating not till 10:30. It was a little bit tough with that. I was like, oh goodness. This is a little difficult. I feel old, but it was really nice to have that option. We went there 2 times of the 5 nights. Additional things that this place had that weren't requirements, but were super fucking dope. Outside music venue. Like they had performers, like these duets every night. And you could just sit there, like this massive like lagoon pool area. And you could sit out on the side of it in the chairs and just listen to the music. So great. And then we had a restaurant that we went to the last night that you could pay to go to it if you stayed there for 5 nights, which we did. It was complimentary and it was a 7-course tasting meal or 7-course tasting menu, whatever it's called. And it was incredible. Like some of the best food I've ever had. Just like the food in general at the resort was like, okay. But that place, fucking incredible. So I know this episode is about building your dream offer. And I promise it ties into this rave review that I'm giving about the resort, right? The only thing that would have quote unquote changed if I had to change something about the resort would be more elevators that could be used like during the peak times because I was like, this shit is slow. And they took the stairs a bunch, which was fine. But I was like, the elevators are small. And I was like, this is like a little bit slow. And it would have been dope if the gym had an ocean view. The gym was small, but it was sufficient. And I get why they don't like use prime real estate and like have it as a big view because like no one's ever in it. But I have been to a few places where like the gym like looks out onto the ocean, things like that. And that would have been nice. But like, that's like if I'm forced to say something and to change something, right? Which brings me to the main topic for today, which is building your dream offer. To me, this resort very much felt like someone who was cool sat down and was like, what would my dream resort be? And then they fucking built it, right? And I say this because nothing else like it exists. Lex and Natalie are all in the Facebook groups. And one of the things that people were saying was they were like looking for other places to go instead of coming back to this. Cause it's like, just to try something new. And they're like, what else like this exists that has all these things? And it's like, it doesn't. So it very much felt like somebody was like, what do I want? What would be dope? And they put it all in one place. One of the things that I think people forget when they have their own online business is that you can do that. You can run shit however the fuck you want to run it. Shout out to Dr. Ellie Summers. She was literally the first person to ever say that on this podcast. Super early episode, like episode 10. I don't know. It's fucking early. We will link that. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, JoJo. But running your business however the fuck you want to run it includes building offers in exactly the way that you want to build them. Right? Yes, it does matter that what your audience wants as well, for sure. But I think that sometimes that is the only thing that business owners consider is like what other people want. or they only consider what's been done before and they just like go with it, even though they fucking hate it. Or they're like, well, I would really love to have this and this. And I'm like, then do that. Right? You can literally build your offer to be your dream offer. This sentiment reminds me, I did a Garth Brooks episode, it was a 2-part episode, however long ago. We'll link that. It was like 2 parts. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Jojo. I did a Garth Brooks episode after watching his documentary. And in the documentary, he talks about being an entertainer. And he says that when you go on stage, it's not about what you want. It's about what they want, what the audience wants. It's about what the people want. And showing up and giving them what they want. But he then goes on to say that the luckiest entertainers, it's a select few, exactly what they want to give is exactly what their people want. And that's what it feels like with this resort. And, when I'm speaking about building your dream offers, like in the most ideal situation, yes, it is about what your people want and what they need. But ideally, that's exactly what you want to be giving, right? And they match up, or what you want to be giving is what they need and what they want. And I think it's worth exploring that, right? Again, the reality is that businesses are built on solutions to problems. And as such, you've got to solve people's problems. So no, you can't just build something, anything, this thing with no concern for people's problems and then expect people to buy it. They will not. We know that that's backwards. Right? But you can take their wants into consideration and then build a solution that is exactly what you want as well. Yes, I do think that where you're at in your business plays into this for sure. In the beginning, it is largely just like, do whatever you got to do to make money. I get that, respect that, been there. I say yes, get the monies. But I do think that there can still be some discernment in the beginning and a concerted effort to be doing more of what you want to be doing with the type of clients that you want to be working with, right? Especially when you're starting your own business. When you're working for somebody else, it's totally different. But this is why we started our own businesses, is to run it the way that we want and work with people that we want to be working with. And I think that you can and should lean into that from the beginning, right? I don't think you should completely abandon your wants just to like, I gotta get this thing working. Like, I think that's not a good way to start, right? But we know for sure as your business grows and you get the reps and the results and the reviews and you gain that positive reputation, those things bring with them the ability and the opportunity for you to really start doing and doubling down on the shit that you want to do and doing it in the way that you want to do it, right? AKA building that dream offer. So just to throw in like a technical, tactical section here, I want to remind y'all of what I call the 7 P's of any offer. I did a deep dive into these in episode 501. I think it's titled The 7 Parts of an Irresistible Offer. So we will link that. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Jojo. But to summarize, when you are going to create an offer, I strongly suggest that you identify and outline 7 things. The promise, which is a guaranteed outcome. The person, right, the avatar person that this is for. The process, or if you're from Canada, the process. This is the framework that you take your people through. The purpose, why did you make this thing? Inject some humanity, some humanness into this. The proof, which would be any kind of testimonials. If it's brand new, then you can say, hey, I don't have any testimonials for this, but here's what other folks who have worked with me before say that it's like to work with me. If you haven't worked with anybody, then we're just focusing on the other stuff. And you probably shouldn't be making a group offer first. You should be going for one-on-one. Right? And then you can say that accordingly. Next, the price. Include any options, any discounts, whatever, payment plans, whatever. Be transparent about the price. Fucking put the price on things. And then lastly, the packaging, which is the deliverables. Is there videos? Is it live calls? Is there Voxer access? Messaging? Loom? Whatever. What is it? You can make all 7 of those P's ideal, right? Your dream P's. Right? We know that the most important of those P's being the first one, which is the promise. And this most directly involves your audience, right? What problem do they care about? What problem do they want solved? What problem are they willing to pay to have solved? Right? I think that where the dream offer creation comes in most specifically is the packaging. How are you delivering this offer? Do you want live calls? FYI, for me, yes, I actually love running live calls. Do you want to offer messenger access? How frequently do you want those things to be delivered? Do you want this to be all just self-paced with recordings? Are the recordings going to be dripped out? Is there contact with you? No contact with you? How long is this thing? 6 weeks? 6 months? What are the parameters around here? All right, what is the packaging? You get to choose. But again, remember that the most important part of the offer is the promise, right? That's the guaranteed outcome. So my coaching advice is always that you reverse engineer your offer, starting with the promise. From here, you decide how long it will realistically take to deliver on that promise and what deliverables are required in order to make good on that promise. Right? You just work backwards. So for example, my podcasting course, Press Publish, has a promise of a 100% guarantee that you will launch your podcast in 8 weeks if you follow my process and stick to the curriculum. 100% guarantee you will launch it. I chose 8 weeks and the live call style format because I knew that that's what would be required in order to guarantee that folks would launch their podcast. Right? Honestly, you can launch a podcast in like a week, less than that. Honestly, you don't need that long of a time, but to that end, 8 weeks is plenty of time from a logistical perspective, but it is realistic. That's the most important part for the creative process and taking, life and human behavior into consideration. People need that long to actually get this thing going. Right? They will usually have it launched by 6 weeks, but I have that buffer built in there so we can work on the consistency piece. Right? In my opinion, the live calls are required largely because of the human behavior component. If you want people to do something, the number one way or number one thing that you can do to most guarantee they do it, besides obviously doing it for them, is to run it live and strongly encourage attendance. And then you stay up their butt via accountability through some sort of messaging, messenger, whatever. I use Voxer. Right? So we see how I reverse engineered the components of the offer, not based on what was needed, right? But I made sure, not just based on what was needed, but also making sure that it matched what I wanted to deliver. Right? I fucking love this offer. I love my Press Publish offer. I love that course. I love it. It is a dream offer for sure as it relates to podcasting. And you can do this as well. Yes, you must solve a problem that people want solved and that they're willing to pay to have solved. But you can choose how this thing is structured. You can choose who you work with. You can choose how you work with them. You can choose the problem that you actually solve, right? And you should choose all of these things, right? The reality is that when you are doing something that you enjoy and that you're excited about, you will show up differently. I promise you, I guarantee it. You will bring a different energy and your people can and will feel that. Your results, their results will reflect that. And that will contribute to the success and the longevity of the offer. Wow, I got excited with that episode. This was fun. I'm going to wrap it up there. I just really wanted to remind y'all that you can make shit that you enjoy. Right? It seems like a simple reminder, but it's been my experience that folks need that reminder. So I'm reminding you. But speaking of, as I didn't say this earlier, speaking of shit that you enjoy, the webinar I ran last week, ChatGPT for Online Business Owners, was so much fun. If you were there or you watched the recording and the replay, thank you. That shit was so much fun. I loved it. I'm so stoked about this direction that I'm taking the business. And this is just the beginning, y'all. So yeah, if you're looking for a dope ass space to go on vacation, dope ass spot, dope ass place, resort, definitely check out Secrets Moshe in Playa del Carmen. More specifically, the impression side. And that's all. All right. As always, endlessly, one more time, endlessly appreciative for every single one of you. Until next time, friends, Maestro out.